All right, I'm gonna talk to the 111s first and give you guys just kind of the rundown on some changes that I made and the flow of the modules. I'm gonna flip to student view so I can show it to you like you see it. What I did was I wasn't happy with some of the flow of some of the things. Some of the questions that you guys had some problems with, I went in and rewrote those questions. But I don't know that they'll affect you guys because the way that this test was made, and I didn't make the quiz, it said, when I did it, it said, we've created a copy of this for next time. So if you haven't taken it, then it doesn't, then you should get the new ones. Now, you may be able to go in and retake it, and it may show you the new questions. So like the question of override.
Which one are you on? I'm trying to.
I think it was CNC lathe operation.
Yeah. Remember that we had found two that we can't get those two questions right no matter what we do?
I took the one duplicate question out.
I already took it last night and it didn't have a duplicate.
It did not have a duplicate?
And then the 2 times before that, it had a duplicate.
Okay, so depending on when you did it, I may have done that. So the question that you guys were having kind of the real problem with was overrides are used to, and I put temporarily and situationally allow the user to adjust the speeds and or feeds of an active program.
That makes sense.
That's what it does. So, I mean, you could probably tell the answers because they're much longer, you know.
Right.
So, but that's the answer to that one. And then a couple of them, I still felt like they weren't quite the way I wanted them, but I didn't do too much adjustment. I only adjusted like three or four questions.
Yeah, the rest of them were pretty accurate, but there was a couple that were.
Yeah, I felt like most of them you could probably work out. Oh, on this one I put each tool on a 2-axis turning center would have 2 offsets assigned to it because like our lathes out there, they're 4-axis. So you have Y and you have no, I'm sorry, you have C, you have X, Z, C, and Y. So just a couple of those things that I wanted to change around. But for the most part, I just left it alone. So the bulk of the questions I left alone. So anyways, you may be able to go in and if you retake it, you'll see those things. If not, I can always zero your response now. And it would be just like you haven't taken or null out your response.
That'd be great because I've taken it like 10
What?
times.
It's in there.
So if you take it now, it's got the changes. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I got to the point I was trying to guess which ones were wrong and rechange it still didn't work.
Yeah. Okay. So in module 1 now, there is a slideshow for CNC basics and then a section 8, unit 1. That's out of this book. And we'll go over it. I don't think we'll go over it today. And then you can use my book because you don't have a book, but and you can. That book just sits there all the time, anyways. And then probably tomorrow, I think we'll hit a couple of book things. Today, I want you guys to get out to the shop and get caught up on the parts that you need to. I want to look at the last couple of parts. Who's got first 4 done?
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Everybody got first 4 done? You got the first 4 done?
3.
3, okay. You don't, okay. So really, depending on how today goes, we'll see about tomorrow. Tomorrow we need to probably stay in class for a little bit. If not, we'll catch all of that classwork up on Monday. So we may just spend a long time in here on Monday and we'll get lockout tagout done, and then we'll get some cool stuff done too. And so you can jump over the metric parts if you want to, or you can go ahead and do the metric parts either way.
Toolbox thing.
What's that?
The toolbox. Shop. I have to get to it. At like 9:30, I was looking at my phone. It was going boom, 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 boom. One was go to the toolbox and measure something, then she
I'm not sure.
It was on there the first time and then it like goes away. It says go to the toolbox and measure it as I've asked. Something like
Oh, okay. So there is a quiz later on that we will take. I'm not sure if you can see it yet.
that. It did this last time. It'll open up and it'll go away.
So sometimes if I'm working on them, you're seeing things live. So like this question, this particular quiz said, answer these questions exactly how I ask.
Yeah.
So personal preference, I don't like a quiz that is titled like that. So I said, choose the best answer using the stereo conversion card provided in your toolbox. That's probably the question that you're looking for. Answers must be in the exact form identified by the parentheses. So you have unlimited attempts to do this just like all the others. And then let's see if we can get pop up, and I'll just kind of show you the question on here. I did put in there a little bit of leeway so that it should, if, let's just say the answer is, okay, convert 1/64 to a 4-place decimal. The answer must be in this form, 0.0000. So if you type in 0.0157, I think that's the 64th, then that's really not quite right. So 0.157, no, that would be right. But if you did 158, because it actually has, there are some trailing, and if you go, oh well, I'm going to round it up, I went ahead and gave you the ability to have some leeway in there of rounding. So where before it was not like that, that would have just been an automatic 0 on it. The problem is trailing numbers trail forever. So like you have to come to a point where you stop, but you have to have it in that form, or else it doesn't check it. It doesn't calculate it correctly, and that's the problem when you have something that, if you're looking for auto response, like if you want to know what you get immediately, then you have to follow the format. I can go in and manually look at them and override them and correct them, but you're not going to get an immediate response from that. So that's kind of the difference from the eat-in restaurant or the drive-through. You know, you're either going to get it immediately or you're going to have to wait for someone to do that. Now, not all the questions are like that, but most of them are. And so if you use that little steric conversion chart that you have, that I gave you, or is in your toolbox, and you follow the format that's in parentheses, then you should come up with the answers as you go. So if you have problems with that, then stop me and let's talk about those things. So just wanted to make sure that you see those things. Okay, let's go back to modules. So what is currently open now is I went ahead and opened up all the way through 5. You guys are not at 5 right now. Some of you guys have already got things done for 5. So if you went ahead and did CNC mill operator, then that's already taken care of. And all I did, I moved it down to the milling section. So it was in the turning section, or it was in the upper sections. So I've got really 1 through 3 has everything to do with turning. And then 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 have everything to do with milling. Okay, so these were way down lower. I just moved them up. So what has populated that wasn't in there from before is there are a couple of book assignments. There's specifically 2 book assignments. There's a slideshow and then a quiz, and a slideshow and a quiz for book assignments that probably should have been up in there earlier. But no big deal. We're doing fine, and everything will work out great.
So we should wait for the milling and just go ahead and do this other stuff first.
Yeah, so I think we'll do these. I think we'll do the book assignments together, either tomorrow or Monday. And so we'll just be prepared. We'll go through a couple of hours of slideshows and quizzes. And so I honestly don't care if you just do the quiz right there with me. I mean, so as I'm doing the slideshow, if you want to do the quiz, answer the questions as we go, it's totally fine. I don't care if we talk about the answers, about why this is the answer for this as we go. It's totally fine. So then that'll get everybody kind of caught up on the same page. And then today, I do want to look at Eric, the part that you did yesterday, the 2.9 part, is at 6?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to look at 6 because I know some of you guys might be there today. What?
I think it was 6 or 7.
I think it's
7.
okay, 7. So 2 of these are required. So when you get to this, make sure that you make 2 of these. And then, let's see if we can just go back real quick. And then we'll go to 7.
Yeah, 7's when we have to turn around and all that.
This part is a little bit different. So you're going to run your first part just like normal, but it's not going to part it off.
Don't be scared. It gets really close to the spindle. Don't be scared.
It's like a thou away from the spindle is close to the spindle. So it turns it to here, okay, from here up. Then you're going to go take it to the saw and saw it off at 2.9. Once you've sawed it at 2.9, then I'll walk you through doing the back side of the part. We're going to chuck this part up in a collet, and then we'll do the second side of it together. So I kind of want everyone to get to that spot, and then we'll just go, everybody's going to do this part. So same thing with the back part that gets the tapped hole in it. So this was part 2, or is part 2. And we got to do a tapped hole in it. And so while we're doing drilling and tapping, totally fine to do that. But this is another one where we're going to put it in a collet. I'm going to just walk you through those parts as we do it. So you can do your 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then 5, 6, and you can even jump to 8, and do all those. Those are all kind of the culmination of the things that we've done up till now. This one and then 2 are kind of the albatrosses. They're the 2 that are just slightly different. And so what I would do is just hold those off. And then either later today or tomorrow, we'll just knock those babies out. So kind of see where you guys land today. And then if you guys get everything done except for those 2 things, then we might just jump out in the morning, finish those last parts out. Then we'll come in and do book work, get all of our book work knocked out, and then we can close the books on modules 1, 2, and 3. And so we need to get to a hinge point. So that can either happen today, tomorrow, Monday, plenty of time. We've got plenty of time for those things. So in your rocket parts, just keep working on the parts that you know, okay? So you've done turning, threading, parting, spot drilling and tapping, and then just a single drill through on this insert drill. If you haven't done that, then you probably got a little bit of time before you get to there. But
What was the difference in using that or the one that we were already using?
it's a different size. Yeah, it's different size.
Close.
They do look close, yeah. So the other one's 5/16 drill. It's just a regular drill. This is called a spade drill, and what the difference really is in these, I like these because you use the same body and you use different wider inserts to create larger holes. So it's a relatively inexpensive drill that's pretty versatile as far as an insert drill goes. But these are pretty common, usage drills, but they're good, especially for long, deep holes. And so I like them.
Slide around the collar.
What?
They slide through
Because this is an adapter. So they're really meant to go into a holder that is this size, but then we sleeve them up to fit into the holders that we have. So
If you crash it, does the insert break or does the whole thing break?
depends on how hard you crash it. Yeah,
Oh, it's coming.
yeah.
Ready.
Yeah. So one thing about these, they are, they must sprinkle a little student dust on these when they make them, because oftentimes they just get bent rather than broken. And we've been pretty good about straightening them back out. Put a little heat to it, a little beat it with a hammer, and you usually get it straightened back out again. So the way the design of this thing is it's kind of like a fork. It's kind of shaped like that. slip the insert in there. If you hit it like this, you might get lucky and break the insert, but most likely you'll split the fork, and it'll probably be no good. So
It just crushes your stone.
it does. So you're right. And they are. So here's what I would say about crashes: is typically when you crash something, that'll be the only time that you crash it like that ever in your life.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you're like, okay, I'm not doing it like that again. I mean, so like I had one day, I have had one bad crash here. I hardly ever crash things because I generally know the system. I've got a system, that I just kind of follow. And one day I got in a huge hurry, and it was back when we only had 2 VF3 mills. And end of the day, and I was trying to get one quick thing set up for Monday's classes, and I had a probe out. I'd been doing a whole bunch of probing. I was doing in-process measuring, and I was doing some probing, and so I was done, and I told the probe to go to Z0, and I did not put the tool length offset in it. And if you don't put the tool length offset in it, it will go straight down to the table. A probe is about $7,000. I mean, when it hit, glass shot out everywhere, and I was like, so I stood there and I was like,
It looks like a homing bee.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, it does. So I stopped, recollected my thoughts. There were tears. There were. And I go, okay. I either called my Haas salesman at that time, or I got online to Haas's website. And I was like, I saw what I thought was the thing, $1,500. And I was like, okay, that sucks.
Are you trying to assess the damage?
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, $1,500, that's not bad. I can, that's not, we'll be okay. And so I shut the machine off. I homed it all out, cleaned it all up, shut the machine off. But so we only had 2 CNC mills, so that only left us with 1 probe. This was way back in the day. This was like 2013. And so I went home and I was like, dang it, man. I mean, it was Friday. It was like 5 or 6 o'clock. And so I went home, and so Monday morning I came in, like I must have called Haas Parts, and I said, hey, I need to buy one of these probes, and I probably need to buy another one of them, too, for a spare. I said, I broke one. He's like, oh man. He's like, that sucks. I was like, it does suck. So he's like, okay. He goes, well, he's like, do you need the end and everything on it? I said, well, I just need the body, not the holder or anything like that. He's like, oh, okay. That's not as bad. I said, yeah. I said, my holder's still good. And so he's like, it'd be $5,000 for the probe. And I was like, what? I said, well, I thought it was $1,500. He's like, oh, there is an older model that's not your model. That's like $1,500. And I was like, oh gosh. I go, okay. And he's like, so it's $7,000 if you buy like the holder, the probe, and then the end. And he's like, but you just need the middle, so it's $5,000. I was like, okay, give me 2 of them. And I blew my budget on like day one. That was double my budget at that time. So I went way in the hole, and then I had to go to the dean and explain myself. And I was like, here's what happened. So felt like an idiot. And so I've had a couple things like that before in my life, but it happens. So.
The other thing I was going to ask you is, didn't you grow up in a machine shop? The one in Lincoln? Is that your family?
It's not, no.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Same name, but no.
I was like, he said he went to work, and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. I thought that was you guys.
Nope. I would love to have the sign off of that shop, though. It's got the clock. It's so cool. No, so I went to, after I graduated high school, I took automotive VOTEC here on campus. I was going to be a mechanic, and then I was like, oh, those guys are poor. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And then this is what my dad did. And then I ended up.
So you did come from some kind.
I didn't even know my dad until I was 18. So anyways, we connected, and he was like, hey.
So you guys were both, he did steer you towards the machine?
He did. He goes, I tell you what. He goes, if you'll go try this, I will buy you your 0 to 1, 1 to 2, and 2 to 3 micrometers. Because at that time, in the program, you bought all of your own tools. So I came into the program. You bought your own material.
You went to machine class here?
Here, yes.
Oh, wow.
So you bought your own material, your own tooling, and your own measuring tools. So
Students, did you?
I don't know. I can't really remember. I mean, I feel like we probably had, I don't know, 7 or 8 in my class, maybe. It did.
I'd be super.
But the thing about that is when you provide your own material, your own tooling, and your own measuring tools, they don't really provide projects for you. You kind of came up with your own projects. So I was really into automation.
Cut something and show the guy like this. is-
Yeah, so you kind of made up your own brand. It was kind of a joke. But anyways, so as I did that, I got a job at Ideal Tool. I was working at Stanley Black & Decker, and I was really trying to get in the tool room there. I ended up going to Ideal to go to get, if you had to have a little experience to go to Stanley Black & Decker. Mm-hmm.
What do they do at Ideal Tooling?
They make ideals.
Really?
It's tool and die or tech.
Yes, it's tool and die. So they're what's called a job shop. So they don't make anything. So they make other people's stuff. So they make tooling and fixturing and check parts for places like Gardner, Denver. They make dies for MACH111 wheels. Now they actually make a product. They are the company Beat Down Outdoor Products that make graph brackets and stuff for fish finders and stuff like that. And so they own that. That's them as well. So that was born out of Ideal. They're big into duck hunting and fishing and stuff like that. So that's where it came from. So anyways, I started out as the saw guy and delivery truck driver there. Worked there for about 20 years and
In 62 or when was that?
42.
Yeah.
Yeah, right after the war.
You
Yeah.
have 200 years.
Yeah, I'm about 200. Yeah, you're failing. So that was like I started there in like 95, 94, 95. I was 20, so it must have been graduated in 93, so it must have been 95. Yeah. So yeah.
Those jobs were like you said, Black & Decker, that shop, the machine shop. It's been like that. It's kind of notorious there. You can't get into that.
So that's not how they are now. So they actually are hiring. Machinists are so hard to find that we have an apprenticeship program with them. So if you are on the floor as anybody and you want in that program, you go apply for it, then they pay you while you're here. They pay for your school, and then you make a commitment to stay there as long as you. So if it takes you 3 years to go through the program, you promise to stay there for 3 years after that. If you go through the program in a year and a half, then you stay there for a year and a half, and so then you're totally, and you're not indebted to them. The idea is that when the company invests in you and you invest in the company, that you're probably going to stay there longer and that you build a lifetime there. But like back when when I tried to get a job in tool and die, I mean, I begged my way in places. I mean, I literally begged my way in places. I can remember going up to a place called Anchor Tool. It's not here anymore. It's where Night Watch Security is now. And I literally never made it in the building. One of the owners was walking in at the same time I was walking in. He just saw me, assessed me as a young guy. I mean, I was 19. He goes, "Get the F out of here." And he goes, "No." And funny story is that guy ended up working for me like 10 years later. And he was just that bad to work with the entire time. I would, every once in a while, I use the full-on example of everything that he said to me and the conversations that we had. And it is stringing together the most cuss words you've ever seen in your life.
For him being under you, or
It didn't matter. So even when he worked under me, I would walk back in his area and he'd be like, "Get the fuck out of here. I don't want your bullshit, blah, 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 blah." And I mean, I would just be like, I do this every day. I'm like, "Here's the things I need." And he's like, "There's no way we're going to do this." I was like, "I'll come back in 3 or 4 hours when you're done." I would just be like, "I want out of here as fast as I can." So, I mean, work environments can be difficult, but for the most part, I had a great working environment there. I loved it there, was there 20 years. I loved it. I loved it there. Yeah, loved it there. So, I think you go to the place that you love or that you can love. You try to make the work environment better, as they feed into you, you feed into them, and you just kind of grow together. And usually, if places are willing to invest into you, it's a good setup. I mean, Stacy said immediately when you started at Gardner Denver that you had said immediately.
110.
Yeah.
Because Good Corps told me no, so I was like, I'm gonna invest in this place.
And Stacy said when John came in here, he said, I want to do the tuition reimbursement. Here's what I'm looking to do. Blah 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 blah. And she's like, that was day one. And so those things mean things. So you want to.
Serious, man. A lot of companies talk, that place followed up. Like,
Right.
they went boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom.
I mean, they're developing something really, really, that's going to be really good for their people. When they sit,
I keep telling everybody, like, man, it's coming, it's coming.
it is coming. It is coming. They've already done a huge pay change up in their pay scale.
Transition there, because like that place, even you can see on the floor, and it's still bothers me. I'm like, God, this place, but they're trying. Man.
Yeah,
They're trying to, like, COVID was really hard because they have that on-time delivery, so.
It's, places are complicated, and the place you work for, you need to be profitable so that they can be profitable. Because if you're not profitable, and then if nobody's working there is not profitable, company's not profitable, it won't exist. So you got to feed into the company, and they got to feed into you. Everybody ends up happy.
Work week?
So it usually happens towards. It would be not in. Probably won't be in this semester. It'll probably be in the closer to the first part of the next semester. That's when we do our advisory committee and stuff. So we do those. We do a online advisory committee soon, and then we'll do a in-person advisory committee. We do all those kinds of things in spring. So it'll be a little bit still. Yep. All right. So that's the rundown on these parts. And I need to work with the Jacobs and then work up with these guys. So I'm gonna let you guys just kind of go. When you hit a stumbling point, you can definitely ask somebody else, or you move into what you already do know. So if you're like, I'm not sure how to do this part, but I do know how to do this part, go do those parts, come back, switch around. Not every part has to be in order. Okay, go ahead.
I saw your.
I was freaking out.
Fired.
I'm closest to you.